I want to focus on 2 Nephi chapter 2, which happens to be Lehi's exhortations and teachings to his firstborn in the wilderness, Jacob, who is going to be one of the greatest doctrinaires in the Scripture later on, giving us some incredible insight into the atonement of Jesus Christ and pride and the role of men and women later on as he becomes the prophet after Nephi. So here's this young boy. He's not married yet in chapter 2, right before Lehi dies. And it's fascinating if you look carefully at chapter 2, how it opens. He addresses him, and he tells him in verse 1, Jacob, I know that you were born in the wilderness, and you've suffered great afflictions and much sorrow because of the rudeness of thy brethren. And then Lehi does what Nephi opened the Book of Mormon with. He gives a nevertheless statement. In spite of your rough start, in spite of being born into a less than ideal circumstance, we were out in the wilderness, there were no comforts of home, you never got to have a peaceful, normal, play here, play there childhood, because we were just fighting for survival out in the wilderness all through those first years of your life. In spite of that, nevertheless, verse 2, Jacob, thou knowest the greatness of God, and he shall consecrate thine afflictions for thy gain. For anybody that you know, and maybe it's you yourself, who was born into a less than ideal circumstance, this passage gives us great hope to say, our past doesn't have to define our present and our future. God can actually take a really, really bad start to life, somebody born into a rough situation, and consecrate that for their gain. They can actually be a better person at the end of the day because of what they've had to come through. I think that's a beautiful principle.